I'm down.
Hey, my bad, big dog.
Ain't nothing, bro. You didn't even scuff the forces.
Shit, I'd have gave myself the fade right quick.
You're stupid, bro. On God, though. I'm trying to get like you.
Nah, I'm trying to get like you. Yo, stay up, fam.
Stay up, bro.
Devon, I've never heard you talk like that before.
How do you talk to black people?
The same way I talk to white people. What?
Are you serious? You don't have one of these?
What?
You don't have a code switch?
No. How does a code switch work?
Well, it's a little tricky, but let me break it down for you.
Welcome to another episode of the show. It's me, Justin, and we are back with another episode. I hope you guys have been doing well. I've been doing well, trying to keep busy, trying to stay healthy. Last week was Dante and I's birthday, so mine was on the 11th of January and his was on the 13th. So thank you guys for your birthday wishes. Dante, thank you for posting that beautiful picture of me. We love it.
I know how much you enjoyed that picture, so I'm glad. I'm very glad.
Yes. How was your birthday?
It was good. I can't complain. You know, kept it low key. That's the story of my life right now, especially during this pandemic. You know, keep it low key. Private affairs in a tighter circle, you know? Mm-hmm. Like the Beyonce song, that's how we living. How was yours?
It was good. It was good. More low key than I usually do. Every year I usually do a dinner with all my friends, but you know, COVID considerations had something to do with that. So I ended up just hanging out with my friends and just doing something more low key. But it was good. It was fine. You know, I'm just happy to celebrate life because I know so many people obviously didn't get to do the same. So I'm just appreciative of everybody and their well wishes. And we're Capricorns. I'm not into zodiac signs, but whatever a Capricorn is, do I match up with those vital signs? But anyway, it was a good birthday.
Listen, great people are Capricorns.
That's what they say.
Like I said, yeah, for real. We get shit done. That's what Capricorns are known for, getting shit done and just being, you know, strong, driven, good people. I always told you, like, I'm not too big on the zodiac sign stuff, but I always told y'all what I think the worst sign is out there. So we don't even need to get into that just in case any of our listeners are that sign.
Which one is it?
Sagittarius is, man, horrible people.
Really?
Not without a doubt, horrible people.
Damn.
For the most part. I know a couple good ones. And if you're a Sagittarius, write into us, let us know.
Yes.
Maybe, you know, I might think you're a good person, but by and large, man, the vast majority of Sagittarius I've met are horrible people.
Damn. Hate to see it. Sorry about that. If you guys are new to this show is all about bringing together different perspectives. We talk about music, pop culture, entertainment, politics, and we have a good discussion about all of it. So thank you for joining me. Be sure to leave a rating, leave a review, tell a friend to tell a friend. And also, if you want to send us an anonymous question, click the link in the description of this episode. Type up whatever you want. If there's a scenario that you want us to read, if you're going through something, if you want our advice on something, let us know and we'll get through it and we will eventually read it on an episode, time permitting. But yeah, follow us on social media, follow me, follow the podcast page, of course, follow Dante. You know, get in touch with the show. We love communicating with you guys. We love cultivating a community. So definitely don't feel shy to reach out to us if you guys feel compelled to do so. This week, Dante is actually mad at me, by the way. I need to mention this at the beginning of the episode. So last week, we recorded an episode. It was ready to go. I had it backed up. And actually, you know what? Let me just get into off my chest.
Justin's gotta get off his chest. Dante has got to get off his chest. Justin and Dante gotta get it off their chest.
All right, so Dante is mad at me because we recorded an episode last week. It was ready to go. I was editing it. It was backed up. And for some reason, my laptop was running out of storage and it told me, hey, you need to delete some files so you can continue editing. So I was like, okay, since I've already uploaded my audio into the editing software, there's no need for me to hold on to the original file since I already have it where I need it. Then all of a sudden, after I deleted it, it would not let me edit the episode anymore. So all the hours I spent editing were thrown out the window and the file was no longer usable anymore. So the whole, episode that we edited was gone and not retrievable anymore. So now Dante and I are re-recording the same episode all over again and giving it to you guys. So I hope you like it, but I'm sorry, Dante, things happen.
It's the episode so nice we had to record it twice. That's what it is. So,
but that's what I need to get off my chest this week.
mine is a little more lighthearted. Off my chest. I have a question for all the fashion designers and brands out there. Why don't women's clothes have pockets? Why is it that women's blazers and their dress pants at work, they don't have pockets on these clothes? Like, it has a fake pocket, a faux pocket, as you would call it, but they don't have real pockets. That's annoying, because I don't want to be putting all your shit in my pocket. Call me a socialist, call me radical, but I think everybody should have pockets.
This radical. You know why they don't have pockets is because women carry purses. There's no need to have pockets if you have a bag to carry all your things in. Most of us don't wear purses, so there's no need for us to have a purse. So that's why we have pockets. So they're trying to keep us in mind with everything. I think that's the reason.
To all our female listeners out there, you hear it right there. Justin is saying that you do not deserve to have pockets.
Oh, there he goes again.
I want you to have pockets. So, just so you know where we stand, since I'm the problematic one.
Don't even try that. Do you see how he tries to make me seem like I'm crazy? I'm not crazy. You're the one that's radical, not me. I'm left of center, and you're all the way to the left.
To the left, to the left.
No, after last week, what we saw, you can't ever call me radical again. What we saw in the Capitol last week, I don't think it's fair to call me radical about anything anymore.
Because of the Trumpanzees and the magats and whatever. But yeah, that was a wild scene. We will probably brush up on that a little bit in this episode, but that's an interesting take. Women, why don't y'all have pockets? Is it reinforcing the patriarchy because y'all don't have pockets? Do women not have a right to own things? What is this saying about society? These are deeper questions, and this is why we have the podcast to talk about it. So what do you guys think about that? But let's see. So let's get into in the news. So in the news this week, y'all's favorite president is the first president in history, let me say it again, to be impeached twice. No other president has been impeached twice, and on top of that, impeached twice in one term. Dante, what are your thoughts on the House going through with the articles of impeachment and sending it through to the Senate?
Are y'all tired of all this winning yet? All you Trump supporters, are you tired of all this winning yet? You know, got impeached twice. And for those, there was only 10 House Republicans that voted to go along with the articles of impeachment. The rest of you are spineless cowards. If you can't condemn somebody and remove them from their job for inciting an insurrection, a riot, for desecrating the capital of the United States, the bedrock of democracy, where's the line at? Where's the line? Honest to God, I truly believe in my heart that, let's say those terrorists would have captured Mike Pence and harmed him, or Nancy Pelosi, and they did these impeachment hearings, though some of those Republicans still would vote to protect Trump.
I believe it. It looks like Twitter decided to suspend his account permanently. So because of this, a lot of people have been saying that this is sensitive territory because we're heading into a space where free speech might be limited. Do you think that's true because Twitter decided to deplatform Trump? Is it a little too late? What do you think about the conversation about free speech in the future with technology and all the apps?
For me, it's all too late, right? All these apps, all these corporate industries, you knew how much of a piece of shit he was and how divisive he was. What I think at the time, what was 14 days left in his presidency, you want to take a stand and seem like you're on the side of right. That's because people are going to stop giving you their dollars because you support that piece of shit. So no, I don't think they're any heroes or their conscience is in the right place. It all comes down to the almighty dollar. But I do have to say, they're getting into some sticky territory about this First Amendment stuff. People should probably brush up on the First Amendment because it doesn't give you the right to do whatever the fuck you want. It's not it at all. And all those Trump supporters who were saying, you know, what about the Bill of Rights? If you looked at it, you know, there'd be freedom of the press. How many times has he kicked certain outfits out of press meetings and the briefings and everything? So you can't have some and not have the other. Honestly, there is nothing in this life that will happen to him that is too good for him. So I don't give a fuck about him or his rights.
You know what? I actually disagree with you when it comes to the First Amendment because Twitter is a private company. So they're allowed to do whatever they want, basically, because we all agreed and read through the terms and conditions, right? So if that's the case, you know, they can do whatever they want. I don't think it's limiting free speech because it's their platform, because the government doesn't run Twitter. Whatever his name is, Jack Dorsey, he runs Twitter. So Whatever he says goes. So it'd be one thing if the government had a platform where we were all on and they decided to boot somebody from the system, then that can be a situation where we're seeing silencing and we're seeing people not being able to express their views no matter how crazy, radical, or dangerous it is. So to anybody that says, oh, free speech is on the attack, no, it's not. You have freedom to say whatever you want, but you're not free from consequences. And I think that's the distinction that people need to make. Dante always says that you can show up to somebody's door and do whatever you want, but you can't control how that other person reacts to it. And the same thing goes with free speech. Say whatever you want, but whatever consequences come your way because of what you did, that's, something that you have to fall on the sword about. So free speech is not under attack, but I do think it's interesting because Pandora's box is always open. People sometimes think about the now, but they never think about the future and the implications of their actions. There might be the dark web that emerges where people are planning attacks and are using that as a way to communicate with each other because they feel like Twitter doesn't allow them to freely say whatever they want to say. When we saw what happened in the Middle East with, invading Iraq, and then we got ISIS. So whenever you do something, you can't control the outcome of what happens afterwards. So I think that we have to be vigilant about this situation, and we can't turn a blind eye to what might happen now that Trump is booted off of Twitter.
Another thing that they're hypocrites about, like you mentioned, which is a great point, and I always give you credit for that.
Thank you.
It's a private company. They can do whatever they want. Remember when y'all wanted to go to the Supreme Court and say that this baker didn't have to make a cake for a gay couple for their wedding?
The Supreme Court ruling in favor of a Colorado baker who refused to make a wedding cake for a same-sex couple because of his religious beliefs.
This is a religious ceremony that goes in direct conflict with my faith.
Baker Jack Phillips's case landed at the court after a lower court upheld the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, finding he had violated state laws against discrimination by refusing to bake a wedding cake for Charlie Craig and David Mullins in 2012.
We don't want other couples to go through the same thing, so it's not just about us, it's about our community as a whole.
But on Monday, the justices voted 7-2 in favor of the baker, deciding that he wasn't given a fair hearing and writing the state of Colorado's ruling exhibited religious hostility against him.
Same principle, same merit. It's the same thing. So remember how y'all used to deny certain people service in places? Say, hey, it's my company, it's my place of business.
That's true.
I think his name's Jack Dorsey. It's his place of business. Kick whoever the fuck he want off of there. So cry more, snowflakes.
But the last thing I was going to say is that things might be bad for Trump now, but give it a few years and he'll be making all the rounds on all the late night shows. People will be glorifying him and having revisionist history about him and what he did during his presidency. The same way they did George W. Bush is the same way that they're going to do Trump.
Over the weekend, former President George W. Bush released a video message calling for unity amid the coronavirus pandemic, prompting some Democrats and many in the media to reminisce about his presidency and praise his tone compared to that of Donald Trump. George W. Bush is not your friend. He's still the guy who used fabricated evidence to drag us into an intractable war. I know you think of him now as the guy who gives out free candy and does weird portraits of Vladimir Putin, but those are red flags too. And hey, you can criticize one bad president without praising another bad president. Yes, things are bad now, but let's not forget, Bush gave us the Iraq War, torture, the financial collapse, the Katrina disaster.
You're hearing it from me. I said it first, and when it happens, you heard it here. You heard it here.
Yeah, I strongly disagree with it. I think he's going to be shamed, and like the crazy people that believe he's Jesus, sure, they'll follow him off a cliff, but the mainstream, the people that are, have some verifiable brain function, nah, it's a wrap for him. Mm-hmm. And he'll probably be in jail, to be honest with you. So
I hope so. I don't see it, but I hope so. There'll be some technicality where he gets off, but I think everybody should be held to the same standard. And if you're going to commit a crime as a president, you should also, be free to face those consequences. Same with me. If you and I committed a crime, we're going to go to prison. It doesn't matter if we're the president. Crime is crime. Punishment is punishment. And he has to deal with it the same way we all have to deal with it.
This is interesting. Let me ask you something. Because, objectively, right? Like, I know a lot of the things we say on here are our opinions and our feelings, and it's sometimes very subjective. But objectively, which, if you guys don't know the difference, just look it up. I don't feel like telling you here now, but objectively means with no bias, right? you gotta imagine that Obama's stock rises a lot in the way he's going to be viewed in history. The person that before him was very horrible. The person after him was very horrible. Like, he has the distinction of being sandwiched between two of the worst presidents in modern history. So you gotta imagine that history is going to look favorably on him for that.
Well, he had a scandal-free presidency. You might disagree.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. We gotta be fair. He wore a tan suit, Justin. He wore a tan suit. Okay? You know, God forbid he lied about a pandemic. You know, God forbid he tried to overturn a government. No, he wore a tan suit. And
all hell broke loose.
What's upsetting is that it just showed him relax. It just showed him that he was on vacation. People are dying. So it reinforced the wrong image. Oh, it was a nightmare. And only the Democrats and only liberals could actually elect a guy with a tan suit.
When Nixon and Kennedy debated, Nixon wore a tan suit, and that didn't bode well for him, did it? It wasn't a suit of strength.
Look at that horrible light tan suit.
Lynn Evans writes me on Twitter, a serious businessman wears dark blue or black to important meetings. I think it's a sign to enemies that he's a wimp.
I mean, the guy, come on, seriously, he needs to burn that thing because it looks like he's just got off the links. And it's not good.
If y'all don't know, like years ago, Obama decided to switch it up. You know, he has some style and some stylists. So one day he decided to, show off a new tan suit. And on Fox News, people lost their minds. What are they so mad about? They get mad at Obama for wearing a tan suit. But then when Trump does all this, when he causes an insurrection against his own nation, they defend it. They say it's Antifa and make up lies. People are living in two different realities where people are believing Fox News and the echo chambers and all these lying senators. People are taking their words as truth, and they're looking at us like we're the crazy ones. Isn't that something else?
It's interesting, I guess. Like I said, man, guy wore a tan suit, guys. It's almost unconscionable that he would do that. It's below the office of the president, in my opinion. One more thing. I hate that I can't wait till we're done fucking talking about Trump. I really
Me too.
Can't. Oh my God. I feel like it's taken years off of my life. One last thing. I see these apologist far-right outfits. I'm like, he's the most masculine president we ever had. Let me tell you why that's not true. He ran from military service and got doctor's notes that said he had bone spurs. Not too masculine there. Teddy Roosevelt was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, judo, and was a professional boxer. Pretty fucking masculine. Y'all all seen Obama's jump shot. Pretty masculine. Trump can barely golf. I mean, I think he's good at golf because it's shifting all that weight so fast. You know what I mean? And one of the biggest lies this man's ever told you, and this is it, I promise. One of the biggest lies this man ever told you is when his, annual physical came out and they said that he's 6'3", 230 pounds. Listen, I was almost 240 pounds last year when I got fat, and I'm 6'2". He looks like me and a half. So I'm pretty sure he's closer to 340 than he is to 240. Trust me.
It's true. I believe you. That's why when he had COVID, he was in the hospital for a while, because the more unhealthy you are, the worse those symptoms are going to hit you. So enough of this Trump talk. So let's get into our main topic this week. The main topic, y'all have been waiting for it. What are we talking about this week? We are talking about code switching. Dante, what is code switching?
So code switching, as it's most commonly referred to, is if you're a person of color, when somebody says, oh, well, you're speaking white or you're acting white or you're dressing white, it's basically being a social chameleon, I would say, to fit into your surroundings.
People say that it's adapting to society. Some people say it's changing who you are and that it's wrong. The answer is kind of blurred. I think it's a mix of both. I think there are negative traits to each of those interpretations when it comes to code switching. Code switching is something that I think that we're all guilty of. Our parents did it. We do it to fit in. Y'all know I went to predominantly white high school and I grew up, in those kind of neighborhoods. So of course that's the kind of schools that I went to. So a lot of people adapt to their environment. You're going to speak like the people that speak like you, the people that are in your environment. That's why people in the South, some people have country accent. That's why when you listen to Dante talk, he has a little bit of Jersey twang to his voice. It's regional. We all have accents that are based we all have accents that are based on where we're from. But sometimes I feel like in order to either make ourselves feel comfortable or to make other people feel comfortable, some people change the way they speak, the way they dress around different groups. And I just think that's weird. I think that if you are changing yourself in order to adapt to whatever is the popular thing in order to adapt to what is, most consumed in that area. I do think that's a little bit problematic because I think that in any situation, you should be who you are, because I don't think you should have to change yourself to make other people feel comfortable, because I feel like there's a lot of people in this country that don't have to change themselves to fit into any room. They can exist in one world and exist the exact same way in another world. So why does it have to switch when it comes to us?
I think there's a very big difference between code switching and assimilation, right? Like what they did to Native Americans at the turn of the century, cut their hair off and gave them different names and made them learn a new language and learn a new religion. That's assimilation. That's somebody forcing you to be like them. Code switching, like I said before, it's like being a social chameleon, right? People speak different at times based on the people that they're around. And I don't think that, and me and Justin might disagree on this to a certain extent, like code switching is just a way of survival, right? Like I'm not going to talk at work and use the same vocabulary and the same words that I do if I was out with my friends. I just wouldn't do it. It's like there's a level of professionalism that comes into play with being at work. It's not that I'm acting white. Like it's a you problem. And I'm speaking directly to people of color, right? It's a you problem if you associate being intelligent with being white. That's your low standard having ass. That ain't my fault. That's what you associate being intelligent and being successful with, is being white. That's a you problem. Maybe you should look yourself in the mirror. But that ain't on me. That's what you associate it with, because I have a robust vocabulary.
You hear that? Robust?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Refined?
Yes. A robust vocabulary means that I'm speaking white. Nah, man. You got to do some soul searching and look in the mirror. But as we talk about all the time on this podcast, it's very hard for motherfuckers to look in the mirror. Very hard.
It's not only black people that do that, because whenever I was in school, it was white people that also said that too. They would say that you talk white, you act white. What does that even mean? And I feel like we can't just say that it's black people, even though some black people are guilty of doing that. It's also white people too, because what exactly does that mean? We're always put into a box as black people. We're not allowed to be ourselves. We have to fit a stereotype. And when we break free of that stereotype, everybody's like, oh, you're different. Like, why are you acting like that? I've never seen that before. And I think the reason is people are uncomfortable with things that they've never seen before, or sometimes they even hate things that they don't understand. I think that's a big problem with society. Because something is different, people see it as a threat, people see it as different, they exclude it, they try and make those individuals feel like they're not part of normal society, and I don't think that's fair. Every individual person is unique, and based on where you're from, your experiences, your parenting, your environment makes you who you are. So I don't think anybody is like purposely changing themselves to fit a certain mold or have people look at them a certain way. Now, there are coons though, and coons might be people that do that to be looked at in a certain way by white people. And I think that's very problematic, because you shouldn't have to change who you are in order for white people to be like, yes, I like you. You are a good one. You're not like the other blacks. You're different. Conservatives love having a black friend that thinks the same way that they do. If they're racist, sometimes if that black friend is saying racist stuff, it's confirming, you know what? I'm not racist. I have this black friend that's saying the exact same thing, so I can't be racist. Don't look at me like that.
If your black friend goes to Supercuts to get their hair cut, they ain't really your black friend. I'm gonna just tell you like that. Exactly. That's not your black friend.
Exactly.
But no, you made an excellent point about people are scared, or they even hate on things. I mean, we grew up in a society where like, hey, like it's not cool to express your feelings, and if you're hurt, don't say it. If you're scared, don't say it. Like you got to be tough, blah 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 blah. All that toxic masculinity, or just like hiding your feelings shit. And it's funny, and I don't want to go on a tangent here, but it's funny because now the generation below us, now all they listen to is all this sad emo rap rock music about being sad all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, people are scared, or they hate on things that they don't understand, or that they've never seen somebody who looks like them do. Like I remember growing up, like, and the people that know me and that are listening to this could tell you, like I was the first person of color in my school that was wearing skinny jeans and Hollister and all that shit. I had my lip pierced and all this stuff, and dudes are like, yo, that's weird. Like, why are you wearing that? Blah, 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 blah. Like, because I like clothes that fit me different. That's why I'm wearing it. Maybe you should hop off the plantation and figure out who you are. I'm telling you, that's one of the most liberating things. I learned it my sophomore year in high school, that I got to be me. I have to be me, and I have to know how to love myself, because I can't love anybody else, my mother, my father, my family, anybody that I'm dating, unless I love me. So I learned how to be okay with being me. And that meant I wanted to, do something different. Whatever the spirit moved me to do, I was going to do it. And niggas was like, oh, well, you wearing them jeans. You wear jeans like my girl. I was like, my jeans weren't that tight for the record. But he was like, oh, you wear jeans like my girl. I'm like, and I could take your girl if I wanted to, homie. Like, what's up? Straight like that. It even came down to like the music I listened to. Like I was playing basketball and like before the game, niggas is listening to whatever rap was out at the time, like Lil Wayne and all that crazy shit. Rick Ross. And like I enjoyed that too, but like I'm sitting here listening to like Bob Marley and Jimi Hendrix, and they're like, why do you listen to that music? Like, I don't know, because it's some of the greatest music ever made. Like, step outside of that mental plantation that you on. Don't discount things because society and history has told you that, oh, because you look this certain way, this is how you always have to be. Because you're black, you can never go listen to a country song. It's all trash because you've been programmed to think that it's all trash. You've been programmed to think that all rock music's trash. You've been programmed to think that certain things are for certain people, right? But it's weird because black people, by and large, and I don't like making stereotypes here, but black people, by and large, love anime. Do you ever hear somebody say, oh, well, you acting Asian?
Yeah, nobody does that. They just consider them weird. See what I'm saying? Anything that's not the norm, they consider weird. And I think that we all do that because, I think the anime kids were a little bit weird, though. So let me...
Oh, yeah. If you were one of them people running down the hallway with your arms behind your back, yeah, they had to keep an eye on you. You might have had a list. But you shouldn't hate on things that you don't understand. Oh, he's black, but he dresses a certain way. Or he listens to certain music, or she does her hair like this, but like black people don't do that. Well, this black person does. That black person does. Like, get out of that mental state of this is only meant for black people, or this is only meant for white people. Because I know of white people who have felt the same way, where they're living their truth, and other white people are like, "Why are you doing that? That's for black people do that, or Spanish people do that."
Everybody does it. Everybody does it. Not only black people, not only white people. It's an insecurity thing, to be honest. I think that people who aren't secure in who they are, they question things that are different from them. Guys are supposed to listen to rap, and when you don't, you listen to something else. Oh, you're not really one of us. And it's stupid. Like that example of those people like questioning you based on what you're wearing. Maybe the person questioning you has always thought to experiment and wear different things, but because society told him that, no, a guy wears baggy jeans, shorts, and a baggy shirt, that's what I have to wear. That's stupid. I think that you should be who you are. And I love the point that you made about being comfortable in who you are, because we're all individuals. We're all unique and we like what we like. So if you want to dress a certain way and listen to a certain style of music, go for it. It's not an indication of your race or your gender. It's just who you are individually and what you like. And I think that's how we should see it. We need to stop putting people into boxes because that's how stereotypes are given life. I know there's some truth to stereotypes, but for the most part, they aren't true because they cannot apply to every single person. It can't. There's black people that don't like watermelon. There's black people that don't like Kool-Aid and fried chicken, and that's okay. That does not make them any less black than anyone else. They like it or they don't like it.
Unpopular opinion here, but I truly believe in my heart of hearts that white people enjoy fried chicken more than black people do.
Who's cooking
because like
it?
You know how you always anyway, you know how you like see on social media those like 4 boxes and it's like, okay, here's tacos, cheeseburgers, fried chicken, and like seafood or something like that, and you got to get rid of one of these foods. Man, fried chicken's always going. Like, Kentucky Fried Chicken ain't marketed to black people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial right now as we're recording this live. It's a white family there. I truly believe white people like fried chicken more than black people do.
Everybody likes fried chicken. Everybody likes fried chicken. People are just dumb. We need to step out of our comfort zones and allow people to be themselves. I feel like maybe that's part of why people struggle so much with mental health, because they're dealing with personal traumas, but then they're also dealing with societal traumas where, well, society told me to do this. Society told me to act like this, dress like this, or whatever. Because you feel different, it leads to depression. I feel like if we just left people alone, there would be a whole lot less, depressed people walking the streets.
You should be able to water the flower that is your life, and you should be able to explore the things that you are interested in. The color of your skin, it shouldn't put a limit on what you do for yourself and what you explore. And I think I know it's prevalent in every racial community, but it's very prevalent in the black community because I dealt with that growing up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, black people don't do this. Black people don't do this. You're being weird. That's weird. That's strange. That's different. Like, your mama like it, nigga. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like,
and so what? different, weird. That's the thing. Why does everybody want to be like everybody else? That's boring. Let's imagine that we were all marbles and we're all red marbles. It'd be cool to be a blue marble or a yellow marble. Why do you want to be red? Why do you want to be like everybody else? That's boring. The people that are famous that we idolize today are the people that were called weird, are the people that were called different, that did not fit in. And because they did not fit in, they were excluded. And that exclusion that they felt is part of the reason that they're famous, because that makes them who they are.
I got really bullied, and I had a nice group of friends, but getting picked on in school, it sticks with you for life. And I don't think I realized how deeply it affected me until I started to become more successful. And suddenly there's lots of pressure and you have to be a role model. And I had to look inside myself and say, well, what do I have to offer? Because for so many years I felt like I didn't have very much to offer. But I see similar struggles in my fans. And so together through the show and through the music, we find liberation from our challenges and our identity struggles.
Because they chose to be different, because they chose to live in their truth, they have gained a following of people that love them for who they are. Nobody's gonna love you if you're just like everybody else, because guess what? You cannot remember somebody if they're just like everybody else. It's the unique people that stand out, the people that we remember. That's what I always preach to myself every day. I don't want to be like everybody else. That's fine, do you, but I'm gonna do me and live my truth, because there will never be another Justin. You will never find another, I'll tell you that.
Like I say, you probably find someone, but you'll never find another.
Put that on a t-shirt.
But no, like that was an excellent point that you made, right? Like, I'll name 3 people: Prince, David Bowie, Lady Gaga. I'm pretty sure growing up, people gave them all types of hell. Like, yo, you're a strange bird, man. You fly to the other side of the flock. 3 of the most famous people ever walked the face of the earth. Timeless.
Mm-hmm.
So live your truth, man. I just hate that, and especially, I mean, we're talking about the standpoint of the black community because that's the community we grew up in, is like, why do you handicap yourselves and others that look like you by telling them they have to be a certain way, they have to dress a certain way, they have to look a certain way? It's just wrong. Let people expand their horizons, and maybe we can open more doors for ourselves by trying different things.
It's true. If we're going to have this conversation, Dante, we also have to be honest with ourselves too. You know how we look at black conservatives. You know, black people don't have to be Democrats. Black people don't have to be liberal. People are allowed to be conservative too. And I think especially when you're black, since black people primarily seem to vote with the Democratic Party, honestly, conservatives that are black are seen as pariahs.
The earth revolves around the sun. Fact. 2 times 2 is 4. And fact. Black people aren't Republicans. We just aren't. We vote for Democrats. And it's not just an Obama thing. He could have drop-kicked this baby and I still would have voted for him. But the fact of the matter is, being a black Republican is something we just don't do. Oh, hey, son, how was your day?
Oh, great. I joined the Young Republicans Club at school.
Fact. Junior may not be a donkey, but he's definitely an ass.
People hate on them. They say they're anti-black or whatever. But shouldn't black people be allowed to explore whatever they want politically as well without people telling them that they're not black?
I don't think it makes you any less black being a conservative or Republican. You know, there's a black senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott. He's a Republican. I don't think it makes him any less black for being a Republican. Defending this president the way he has in his actions, you know, questionable, right? But who am I? You know, I'm just a guy behind a microphone right now. I'll keep my personal opinions to myself, but overall, like, just because you're a black Republican, no, I don't think that makes you a coon. If you're going out here saying shit like Terry Crews, you cooning. If you are Candace Owens, you definitely cooning.
Can you insult a black person without being a racist? That's just a question.
I think the minute that he went with lazy, he was using...
Why are you saying black people are lazy?
No, but that's
why does the word
racist
lazy
trope.
make you think
that is a
about...
common racist
No, it is
trope.
not. I've never been called lazy my entire life. So the question is, why does the word lazy make... No, I'm asking a question. I asked you a question. You said that lazy makes you think of black people. That's what you're saying.
That is a common racist trope.
So that's within you, not within him. That is not a common racist trope towards black people.
With me, like an example, I was trying to get into it earlier, but with code switching, I was mentioning that everybody has done it, and we do it to make other people feel comfortable. We do it to fit in. I don't know if y'all in New Jersey, if y'all had these shoes called Sperry's. Do you know what those are?
Bro, I got 2 pairs of Sperry's in my closet right now. My boat shoes. Yeah.
When I was in high school, those shoes were very, very popular and everybody wore it. Fast forward to now, I would never be caught dead wearing that. I feel like sometimes we feel like we have to have the latest trends to fit in with everybody else. And I definitely fell into that because I bought them and I wore them in high school, but I would never wear that now. I feel like my style has evolved and changed, and that's no longer what I like wearing. So everybody falls into it, at some point, but nobody helps the situation that they're born into. You can't help the people that you're around. If you go to a school with all white people, you're gonna speak like the people around you speak. You're gonna, maybe dress like them. Like I was wearing Sperry's. I would never wear that now. So, it's part of our environment, and that's why we shouldn't judge people, because you don't know somebody else's situation. A problem in society is that we expect that everybody goes through our same life experiences, so thus they should see the world the same way we see it. That's unfair and that's impossible, because nobody lives the exact same life that you live. Unless they're your brother or your sister, they're not going to have your same experiences. So I think when you know that, you can look at everybody as an individual instead of acting like they should be part of a collective when they might not relate to the same things that you like.
I think that, there's something important in there that you said about, your surroundings and where you grow up. There's two things that really form who you are as a person in your early years. And probably for the majority of your life, right? It's nature and nurture. Your nature is where you are in the world and what's around you, right? Nurture is the people around you who are tasked with raising you and making you into a functional human. So if you are a black person and you grow up in a town that is, 90% white, you might not have a lot in common with people who grew up in a town that's 90% black. Mm-hmm. That's just fair to say, because that's the nature that's around you. Or if, you're a Hispanic person and the school you go to is predominantly Asian, you're going to be trying some different things. You're exposed to different stuff. And I think that's what those experiences make you who you are. And I think, like you said, we should stop judging people based on what you see from them, because you don't know what their backstory is. Right. You don't know where they came from, how they grew up, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I feel like code switching and assimilation, they kind of go hand in hand, because y'all know I'm Nigerian. My parents immigrated over here and they had us here. They easily could have gave us Nigerian names. Of course, the tribe I belong to is called Igbo, and they could have given me a traditional Igbo name as my first name. I have a lot of friends, their Nigerian name is their first given name. My parents decided to do a switcheroo. They named me Justin, and that's my first name. That's the name that I go by, but my middle name is my Nigerian name. They did that intentionally because they wanted me to fit in as best as possible. In a way, there's advantages because of that. There's disadvantages because of that. Even like with work and stuff, I feel like based on your name says a lot. Your name is very powerful.
Cassandra and her daughter, who has a very unusual name. In fact, we can't pronounce her name, but we can tell you it has over 1,000 letters. We had to create a special graphic for her name. Take a look. That is her name. That makes Letitia LaShawn look simple. Letitia LaShawn Shante. Her birth certificate is 2 feet long. She has the longest personal name in the world, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. And we want to ask her mother, what were you thinking?
I had to do something to break a Guinness Book record. I had to make sure that her name was going to be unique. I didn't want her name to be like anybody else's. Make sure.
What is her name? What is her name?
It's Roshandy Antonishan Vision Kishan Simon Drew Shalinda Shakane Ronquel. Ninja Shamika Shanet Tamika Shawahini Shell Kani Satsan, Janich Marine, Consai Kanicha Devon, Yvonne Latani Sivante, Pranky Salaviva, Zanfisa, Justin Sajave, Lawyer, Vet, Sparkney Sandra Kate, Kati Vishon or Lee, Kishawa, Lisa Nethy, Shots McMonay, Lisa. My middle name is Kunyan Scott.
Your middle name?
And I think that when my parents came over here, they didn't want me to be discriminated against. They didn't want to see like Chukwudi or something like that and then have a hiring person say, oh, this person's probably African or black. We don't want them. So they just wanted to give me a traditional American name. And they did that to assimilate as best as possible. It's almost like a survival thing. I don't know. I don't feel any type of way about it. It is what it is. I can't control that. I'm interested to know, because your first name is Dante. Do you think that your name has played a role in any situation that you've been in versus if you were given like a traditional, I don't know, American name like Chad or Johnny or Timmy?
No. So, I mean, traditionally the name Dante is Italian, right? And my last name is French. So people who have probably read my resume before they've ever called me and talked to me on the phone, there's a good chance they thought they were talking to a white guy, or they were contacting a white guy. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not in their heads. But my mom didn't have, when she named me Dante, she probably didn't have in mind about actually, you know what? My mom is a very forward thinker and thinks about, long term. So she probably, maybe there is another name she wanted to name me and decided to name me Dante. I don't know. I'm going to actually ask her about that. Maybe she wanted to name me like Tyrese or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Right, Tyrone.
But, yeah, but like you said, it's a way of survival. I've read and watched documentaries on how when Asian people move over here, they give their kids these names, these traditional white names from like the 50s, like Amy and Sue, names that they saw white characters have on TV, like I Dream of Jeannie and Leave It to Beaver names.
Got it.
That's literally where they've gotten it from.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've read a report on this thing and watched a documentary on it. So I'm sorry for saying traditional white names. They feel like their kid will have a better chance of success. Somebody's just judging you based off a piece of paper. So they give them these traditional American names so that people can't predetermine who you are and what you're about by your name. And that is assimilation. That's kind of heartbreaking. Now,
it is.
Listening to you talk about like your parents and why they, gave you the name Justin, right? That's kind of heartbreaking.
Because I don't think that anybody should shed who they are in their culture in order to assimilate into another culture. And you know that this country has a very bad history when it comes to its treatment of immigrants. So just the thought of immigrants having to shed their culture in order to be a part of this bigger culture, it's sad because our culture should be celebrated. We shouldn't have to name our child a different name just because we want them to fit in. If you have a traditional name from whatever country you come from, it'd be cool if you went by that too, because we get to learn. A question I have for you is, do you think that we should look at people a certain way if they do decide to give their child a name that is traditionally black, like Latavia and LaQuasia? Are they in a way like shooting their child's foot when it comes to success in the future just based on their name alone? Because you can have all the qualifications, but if somebody sees like a Latavia, a LaQuavia and all that, they're going to have preconceived notions about who that person is beyond what the resume says.
I mean, for sure they are. And I mean, that's sad, but that's just the society that we live in, right? The harder it is for somebody to pronounce your name, if it has too many consonants in it, the less likely people are to engage with your resume. And I guess we're talking about in a professional setting here, right? And I really feel like South Asian people have a big problem with that often, that I've seen from working in this industry, because people can't pronounce their name. They don't want to take the time to look through this person's credentials. Like, that's wrong. I don't think your name and your heritage and who you are should be a hindrance on your prospects in life.
Exactly. I think you're right. And you know what I hate? One of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody has a name that isn't Amy or Dawn or Chad. If they have a quote unquote complicated name, they try and shorten their name to make it easier for people to pronounce. No. That's not fair. If you have a name, help them pronounce it. Say your name. Don't shorten it to make other people feel comfortable, because other people didn't have to do that to you. So why do you have to do that to them? Say your name and be proud of who you are. And I hate that, because I know a lot of people, Nigerians even, that have names that people aren't used to. And I think it's a good teaching moment, because you're teaching them about your culture rather than just assimilating and saying, oh, my name is Chica, but you can just call me C. No, call them your name so they can learn who you are, because that's part of your humanity and your culture, and it should never be minimized at all. A lot of people do that. And even in the workplace, even, oh, you have a complicated name, just call me this. No, call me by my name.
So my mom has a huge pet peeve about that. But like, my nickname isn't shortening or taking anything away from my given name of Dante, right? Like, my nickname is actually longer than my real name, but she hates when people call me Donnie. She's like, I named you Dante. I remember one time when I'll never forget, I think I was in middle school, I was at the doctor's office, and the lady tried to tell my mom that my name was Dantes, and my mom was like, I birthed him. I know his name is Dante. I have his birth certificate. What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, my name ain't Dantes, bro. Like, there ain't no Z on the end of this thing.
Dantes, that's funny. You have several tattoos. Maybe this relates to the episode, maybe it doesn't. What was the reasoning behind your tattoos? How many do you have, and do you regret them?
I have 6. it looks like 4. So I got my tattoos for a sentimental reason. I have on my left arm, my left bicep, my grandmother's name and a rose in her favorite color underneath of it. And then on my right arm, I have my mother's name and a rose in her favorite color underneath of it. And then I have an angel. I mean, basically my left arm is dedicated to my grandma. Yeah. So no, not for a moment do I regret my tattoos at all. Period, point blank. Honestly, I forget that I have them at times. Like I'll just look down and be like, oh yeah, that's there. But no, I don't regret having them at all. I didn't just do it to be like, oh well, I'm 18 now or I'm 17 now and I think I should get a tattoo. Nah, there was a reason behind me getting mine and they mean something to me.
That was a good answer, and that's actually a good transition segue, King, because respectability politics is something that we also have to talk about. Because respectability politics, I have a complicated relationship with. My dad is really big into respectability politics. My dad would never in a million years allow me to get a tattoo. If I got a tattoo, he would disown me. He would tell me to get it removed. And I think that's the case for a lot of Nigerians. Like piercings, they freak out about tattoos. They freak out about changing your hair. They, freak out about. My younger brother has like twisties in his hair and they were freaking out about that. They don't want him to be profiled in any way or seen a certain way. But I have problems with that because people don't care if you have tattoos. People don't care if you have gold teeth or dress a certain way. If you're black in this country, you're treated a certain way regardless of the other things that define who you are or your makeup on the outside.
I gotta push back on that one a little bit because I've noticed, right, that walking on the street or walking to, in a store or whatever it may be, people look at me different and treat me different if I'm in there in my suit and my fucking Movado versus if I'm in there in my joggers and a hoodie. You know what's fucked up about that is like after that Trayvon Martin shit, a lot of black men did not feel comfortable wearing hoodies anymore.
It's true. I felt like that.
Like I still think about that shit. Like, oh man, I can't go out in public in a hoodie because somebody might decide to shoot me because I look like a threat. Because I look like a threat. What does a threat look like? Full circle. That's just what we're talking about. What does talking white sound like?
And I don't know if it's the media coming up with images of scary black people. So whenever somebody sees a black person with the hoodie, oh, they must be up to no good. It's not fair. The way you dress and all that is based on your environment. So if everybody else has cornrows and, wearing a singlet, it's called a wife beater, but I don't call it a wife beater because I think that's problematic.
Yeah, I appreciate you not calling it that, man. I don't call it that anymore either because, like I said before, if you put your hands on a woman, I think you're a bitch.
He said it, but that doesn't define who you are. How you dress and the things that you like is kind of based on your environment. So I don't think that we should be judging somebody's character based on how they dress. But I will say how you represent yourself says a lot about you. And if you want people to think that you're not clean or whatever, dress like that. If you want people to think that you're clean and that you take care of yourself, then the way you dress will represent that. So I think with respectability politics, it's that aspect that I agree with. I don't think that wearing a suit will protect you from, not being shot by the police. Because there was a story about a college professor, I believe, who lives in a upper scale neighborhood, and he was having a hard time getting into his house. His neighbors called the police on him. They arrested him for trying to get into his own house. He was probably wearing a nice suit. This guy is a professor. So him wearing nice clothes had no determination on him being arrested. So we have to push back on this idea of if you're clean cut and if you have a fade and you tuck in your shirt, you will be A-okay. No, you're not. At the end of the day, we're still black in this country, and that's something that you cannot rub off unless you're bleaching.
I didn't say that it's like the magic cure or anything like that. I'm just saying that I noticed in my personal life that for the most part, I get treated different walking into a place or being in a place when I have my suit on versus, if I just got done working out and I have joggers and a hoodie on or something like that. And you know what? Like people do give you different looks depending on the age that they are. I remember being at work one time. I was at a work function, not at my current company, but one before. Because we wore suits every day, nobody ever knew I had tattoos. Like, unless they followed me on social media or whatever. And then one day we had like this outing and like I wore a t-shirt and my director was like, oh man, you're tatted up. I didn't know that. I was like, does that change anything?
It probably did in his mind. I'm being serious.
Am I still performing? Does it change anything that I have these tattoos?
because tattoos have a negative connotation. For me, I'd probably never get a tattoo because there's nothing really important or sentimental that I really feel like I need to permanently put on my body. That's just me. I don't have anything against tattoos, but for me, it's not something that I'm into. When it comes to dressing nice, I think that there's studies that show that people respect people that wear suits. They take them seriously because it's like, oh, this person, has a good job, or this person knows more than I know. They must be a professional in some way. I think it's scientifically proven that we just take people in suits more seriously.
And I mean that, that person in a suit, that could be faking the funk, right? Because there's people out there that are that have trades. So like somebody that might be a plumber or a mechanic might be making way more money than the person that's wearing that suit. So that suit don't mean shit, because you could put somebody standing in a suit that's making, and I'm not disparaging anybody here, right? But somebody standing there in a suit, and let's say they're making $13 an hour, right? But they're standing next to a plumber who's all dirty, looks trashy. You probably wouldn't give this person $2 if you saw him on the street. And that person's making $100,000 a year. You got to stop judging people off of what you see.
That's why I always have something to say about all these rappers that are showing off their bling and their jewelry and all this. Like, they're showing to the outside world that I have money. If you really are wealthy, you don't have to do that. There's so many people in the world that are humble, that are proud of what they have, but they don't feel the need to show it off to everybody so everybody knows that they have money. It's a bigger issue. I know we always connect everything to black culture, but with black people, a lot of black people are flexers. They like to show what they have, and we know the reason why. When you have a history of not having a lot, of being oppressed, as soon as you get something, as soon as you feel like you've made it, you feel like you have to show everybody in the world that you've made it too. You go out and buy a nice car, you buy a nice house, you buy some jewelry so people think of you in a certain way. I feel like a lot of Africans even do that. My dad was the oldest of 9 siblings. He worked really hard and became a pharmacist. So because of that, my dad was able to afford, nicer things. He bought a nice car, a nice house. And I think maybe part of the reason why he did those things is to show, hey, I've made it. Dad, be proud of me. And it was great when my grandfather eventually came over to the United States to visit. He was, proud of my dad and everything he accomplished. So I think part of what my dad did with buying a nice house and a nice car was to show that he's made it. But there's other people that just do it to impress people that they don't even like. And this goes into a theme that I always say on every episode. Stop caring about what other people think about you, especially people that don't like you. You're hurting your pockets more by feeling that you have to keep up with the Joneses or live this outward appearance of wealth when either you don't got it or the people that you're trying to impress really don't care that you have a nice house or a nice car. Who are you on the inside? People will remember you for who you are and how you treated them, not the things that you have.
Dab yourself off real quick, because that was a prayer cloth moment.
Justin, get out your prayer cloth. Dante, get out your prayer cloth. Everybody, get out your prayer cloth. Dab it off your head to breathe. Get out your prayer cloth, darling.
And I would like to add on that, what you were saying, right? I feel like social media has only compounded and exacerbated that problem of feeling like you need to show off not just black people, everybody of every color, because it's like, hey, somebody else out there is living their best life. I need to show you how I'm living my best life. And that's why you make fun of these people that post their trip to Miami 4 years ago every week, like, take me back. Stop it. You're making a fool out of yourself. You're showing off and you're flexing for people who really don't give a fuck about you. Mm-hmm. They truly don't. Either they're going to double tap that picture or they're not. But does that really give you validation as a person? Is that what helps you look in the mirror and say, you know what? Yeah, I am attractive. Or yeah, people do like me because I had 100 people like this picture of me. That's sad. If you ask me, sad. In my opinion.
That's how people live their lives, with the satisfaction and the gratification from people from the outside world that really don't care about them. I feel like people need to live for themselves. I think that's the theme of this episode. Code switch to survive, code switch to fit in. But ultimately, we have to all live for ourselves, because if you're not making yourself happy, who are you trying to impress? Who was I trying to impress by wearing Sperry's in high school? Make yourself happy, because Dante made a good point in the beginning of this episode. You cannot love other people if you don't have love for yourself and you don't know who you are on the inside. That's what matters.
Very true. And one other thing I would like to say, there is a flip side to this, right? Like how we talked about people flexing for people who really don't give a fuck about you. Sometimes you're doing it for yourself, right? Like, I love retro Jordans. I have a closet just for my sneakers, okay? I ain't doing this to impress nobody else. Trust me. I'm doing this because I work my ass off and I can pay my bills and still buy the shit that I like. My parents weren't going to go spend all that money when I was growing up. Like, hey, when you get a job, you could work for it and get it yourself. Guess what? I can do that now. So I buy this for myself. And I don't go post them every week and like, oh, look at my retros. Nah, I get it because I enjoy it, because I like them, because I wanted them since I was younger. Now I'm in a position to go take care of that. But if you're a person that's struggling, let's say you're walking to work or something like that, then why are you buying a Gucci belt? Who are you showing off for? Like,
oh my, this guy is speaking.
Honestly, like, ladies, and please let us know and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think that you're going to make the determination on if you're going to a guy or not based off of if he has a Gucci belt. And you guys can call me out on this. I think anybody's a liar if they say, hey, nobody else's opinion matters. Like, yeah, there are a select few people who, if they, came to me and said something, I'm really going to take into consideration what they said. You got to have that. It's very healthy to have that, because you don't know everything on your own, and you have blind spots that other people can point out for you. Those followers that you have on IG, if you're letting them determine the course of your life and what you view and think of yourself, it's a sad place to be in, man. And I hope that you get out of the wilderness and you find whatever you're looking for, but that ain't it.
Honestly, we were just preaching on this episode. We need to dab ourselves, get your prayer cloth out, dab your forehead, get those sweat droplets out.
Dab it off your head to breathe. Get out your prayer cloth, darling.
And y'all, the listeners at home are doing the same thing too. I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful for you guys that listen, because you guys are the reason why I do it. Everything is not about numbers for me, but it is though, because if there weren't people listening to this, I wouldn't be doing it. I want to have good conversations. I want to open people's minds, and I also want to learn. It's not about coming on here and preaching. I'm open to criticism. I'm open to hearing your feedback. That's why we have the anonymous thing. So if you guys want to send in a question, if you guys want to ask us anything or follow us on social media, feel free to do so. But I do it for you guys. My goal with this show is to cultivate a community, and that's what I'm doing. So thank you guys so much for your birthday wishes. Thank you to all you guys that reached out to the show. It means a lot. Dante, what do you have to say?
We give you all this heat for free. Just think about
99.
That. Free 99. And hopefully it'll always be free 99. But I'm just telling y'all boys, we're on the verge of something here, guys. So quiet as it's kept. But no, thank the community. Thank all of our listeners, whether you listen in good faith, whether you listen in bad faith, whether you hating, whether you loving. I don't care. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, rate, review, unsubscribe, subscribe again.
No.
Listen again. Like I said, the brand is strong. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So thank you so much. Continue to interact with us. Continue to support. Like Justin said, reach out. Y'all know my DMs are open, man. If y'all got an anonymous question, let me know. If you got a question that you want to put your name behind, say it with your chest, let me know. If you have an opinion, you think we were wrong, if you're coming in good faith, let me know. If you're on that, if you were on that on January 6th was 1776 and it was Patriots, you don't need to say shit to me. But outside of that, let us know. Love it. Thank you guys again.
I second everything he said. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you to the secret fans. Thank you to the real fans. Thank you to the fake fans. All of you guys. We appreciate you guys so much. Y'all be safe. And with that being said, we will catch you guys on the next one.
I refuse to soften my tone or remove slang from my vocabulary just to be compatible with the system created on stolen land and slave labor.
Ooh, yeah, speak on.
I'm gonna talk how I talk, like Ryan Coogler. He'll be on The View sounding black as fuck. Even Whoopi be confused.